Yeah, so today I would like to talk about the AI assistant in terminal. So in this talk, just there are quite a few AI assistants available in terminal. But today in this talk, I would like to share my experience with the following tool: Ada, Llama, and Warp Terminal, and GitHub Copilot command line interface. So what is the Ada? Ada is an AI pair program tool in your terminal. It's very powerful. So it's also available in the vertical JetBrains or new VM. So it can provide powerful AI coding. This is not the focus on the talk, but this is also powerful. You can it's one of the powerful AI coding tool, and also provide the chatting question on your terminal, file editing, and Git integration. For example, if you make some change to your file, it can automatically to generate the comment message for you. So save you time and listening, testing, and more. So just go to this website for more detail. And so to install the Ada, you can use the UV tool to as showed the command here. To install, it requires Python 3.12, or you can use the pip to install the Ada on your terminal. And how to set up the Ada? So, since it's an AI tool, it requires the AI model. So you need to set up the API key. You can define the API key via the environment variable, or more convenient way, you can use computer file under this file on your home directory. So I show the example. You can give them the default model you like to use. And this one is free. The Gemini 2.5 Flash preview 0520 is free for the moment. And you can define multiple API key, Gemini, open water. So you can list here. So in that way, you can switch the model more conveniently. So you can, there are some free API key available. For example, Gemini model, you can check the rate limit there on this side. So for example, the Gemini 2.5 Flash preview is free. So you can get probably many. You can go to the website to see how many required you can get per day or per hour. And also you can go to use the open router. You can need to get API key. Also, you can use your local AI model that I will talk about later. So here I would like to have a demo to show this. I probably need to show share this. Let's see. Okay. So wait a minute. So for example, so the default one I use the Gemini 2.5 Flash. So let me go and exit. Okay. And also select first. There are a lot of options available for this command. So you can, so it's because it's very powerful. So I will not show just to see. If you like for more help for that, then go to this. No, normally the Ada is work with Git repeatedly, but now I just use to show how to chat with the ADA, so they're no JIT. And for health, so you can run the command /health, will give you all the available commands. So here I can show some example how to, for example, I can ask question, and if you do not with add, just run this one. Probably it will be ask you, we will run the command for you. We add the same one. So that way you can run the command ADA suggest. You can ask to answer yes or no. But for the moment, I don't like to run because I don't. Okay. And also, your token will by default will accumulate if you have a multiple chat. So normally, if you need to run the clear command to clear up the last chat to save the token and also to start a new chat. And if you like have a multiple line, you should use this way and end this. So that way you can have a multiple line mode. So I also like to, for example, let's show to use the local to see what the model available. Let's see this one. So you can run this command to list models, and for I like to list all the Gemini model available for this. And also, for example, for the open lot model was available. And also you can run the local one. You use a local model. So here shows the example here. So I use the local model. So and the local model, I can show you how it's how fast is it, depending your your computer. So it's also it's fast enough. In addition, I'm using right now I'm using the warp terminal. So in the warp terminal, you can also available here. There's a here. You can also the warp terminal is actually built with AI. You can say for Harman. So this also is very useful, and that the warp the AI is building in the warp terminal. So even you attach to a remote computer, this AI tool is also available. So let me go back to and also Alama. I will talk about. So this is you can Alama. So you can list the model I already installed on my local machine. So let me go back to my talk. Okay, so here I already showed how the example how you can run the ADA run, and so help and how to list the model available, commit a git, so git command and add file, and the exam. I mean the command inside Ada, and use the exit to exit the application, and how to check the check history. You know, it will be saved your current directory with the two files. One is your input history, and one the git chat and the output chat the history. Both are in the markdown format. And to your for the local AI model, you can use Llama. Yeah, this is example how to use to use the local Llama model. And get for Llama, you can so that are unable to you run the AI model locally. So you can download here and search for the model available from this website. And I just already mentioned the warp terminal. It's an intelligent terminal which already have a built-in AI. You can download from the warp terminal from this site. It's available for Windows, Mac, and also Linux. So since the AI is built-in, it's also available if you attach to a remote machine. And for the free plan, you can get up to 150 requests per month. But so here's one screenshot of the work terminal. So you can see there's a lot of models available you can choose. But to use the local AI model, for example, a Llama model, it's not available for the free plan. You have to pay. You have to be a paid plan in order to support the local model, AI model. And also, the GitHub Copilot is also available. I have a command line interface in terminal, so it's available. So you can. So here I show you in the macro, you can install GH or the Linux. You first add that repository into, and then install the GH. After that, run an application. Authenticate your GitHub your account, then add this extension. Okay. And after that extension, you can run your GH Copilot suggestion or Copilot claim. So use this for more run this for more user help and run GH Copilot dash help. Yes, that's it.
Thanks. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, thanks. Yeah, so are there any questions?
Using my position here, I have questions. So just naive question, do I understand correctly that running the AI assistants in terminal, they not only give you the hints or like text response, but they actually interact with your bash and with your local files. So you can actually ask them to change something in your files, or you can actually ask them to set up the package, not just show you the command for you to use to install.
Yeah, that's true. So it's actually the Ada is a very powerful AI coding. So you can add your file or can your whole Git repository to this command. Normally by default, it will be if you have a Git repository on your current directory, it will be add the whole Git repository into this command. You can talk with them about those files to explain or to modify. And the one thing I haven't mentioned that it's an option. For example, Ada option dash watch file. So if you have your own editor, for example, the VIM, so the VM itself doesn't have the AI support, right? So combined with the Ada, you were able to access the AI in your even in your VIM editor.
Yeah,
so,
got it.
So you just need to add some comment in your file. At the end with the AI explanation market. And that Ada itself will watch that file and then try to generate whatever you like the Ada to do and modify your file or add some function, whatever. So that one, so since there are a lot of features available, you can exploit. And also, I just mentioned the work terminal. The work terminal focus is different. The work terminal is more focused on the command. I mean the share command, and the Ada is more focused on the coding.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions from anyone?
For how long have you been using these tools?
Yes, this tool, the Ada, I discovered this tool last year, but I just tried recently for the work terminal. I just discovered this useful terminal probably 2 weeks ago. And the Ada application theater, so there are a lot of features available. So I haven't tried, I only tried a few of them. So I think I still need more time to exploit. So especially for the AI coding. But for the moment, I just try use it run on the terminal because normally we use AI chat on browser. So we need to switch browser and terminal. That's not convenient. Copy file to the browser and copy at the end back to the terminal. So with the AI assistant already in the terminal, they don't need to copy paste between the terminal and the browser.
Okay. So we have a question on Zoom. That's it.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, I was curious about the use case of Olama and how do you use it in your work? It's basically an LLM, like you can import LLMs, right, in your terminal and host them. Does it also help you in managing it or file management, or is it for something else?
Well, Olama, the Olama itself also can provide the chat, but the Ada is already, for example, there are already some feature, for example, the tag run. Also, I should so you should be able to capture your run output, and if there's something wrong, it can be help to fix the error. So there's more than just chat. So more than just chat.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Also, I had another question if you don't mind. Do you use Ada as a management and knowing where you are at in the project, or like how? I don't exactly get the use case of Ada. Can you please explain it again? Sorry.
You mean for the package management?
Yeah, you use Ada to know where you are working and like what updates you are making right now. Like don't exactly get the use case.
The use case. So, for example, I like to install something or run some share command, and sometimes it fail. I can ask the Ada directly to see why it fail. Can you fix the problem?
Okay. So it locally, without using any internet, just fixes the.
Yeah, I don't need to copy the elements to the browser question, so it can be just directly to fix the problem for me. And if it's more convenient and quick.
Okay, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot, Shuwei. Then, since there are no more questions on Zoom, or in the room, not many people in the room, we can continue. With Alexey, if he's ready to share.
Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
All right, I'll share my screen. Can you see the slides?
Yes.
All right. So first of all, thank you for the invitation to present here. My name is Alexey, and I am part of a software development for experiments group at GSI Darmstadt. GSI is a facility for research in physics and biology, and our group is primarily focused on developing and maintaining scientific software for the experiments. In our group, we have 7 people, and we maintain multiple projects that you can see on the right. Most of them are in C++, some are in Python, so it's kind of a wild mix. Most of them have more than one developer, but actually there are some exceptions where there's a single developer, and it can be really beneficial to have a code review assistance. And that's why around 1.5 years ago, I decided to explore the options of having AI assisting with the code review. And back then, a nice solution was CodeRabbit AI. It used to be open source, but it's no longer open source today. So I tried to doing that. And when it switched from open source, and so around 1 year ago, I also was interested to try it by myself to see, to get familiar with the tooling and to develop something similar on my own, and just to gain experience basically and have a playground to explore what the options are for working with these tools. So some words, first of all, about CodeRabbit. On the left, you can see a rough graph of how it works. So whenever there's a pull request on a GitHub, it can automatically get all the data. It will pre-process this data with some certain tools, which I will show later. And then it will contact an LLM. It used to be OpenAI. Maybe these days it still is OpenAI, but it's no longer revealed what exactly is going on under the hood. It will get feedback either to the whole pull request or per file, depending on how they set the request. And finally, it will post-process the obtained information and send that as a comments to files on the GitHub, to the changes. Since a very short time, a few weeks ago, they also introduced the VS Code plugin that you can run in your VS Code. You can install an extension, and that will allow you to get feedback before you even submit your changes to repository. I haven't tested this particular feature, but it should be roughly doing the same thing as it does on GitHub, just before anybody else can see it. Now, a few words to post-processing and pre-processing, which I think are very important part of these tools. They can improve the review quality quite a bit. And because if you just have the code, maybe it has also comments, or it has commit messages, or it has pull request text, but you can add additional information to the code that will give the model more context about what the change is supposed to do. Maybe there are related issues, they may be related pull requests. It can even search web for maybe to explore additional information that's related to the changes. And you can also define specific instructions, either globally or per path, depending on what changes have been made. Now, another important feature is the tool can learn over time. And let's say you have changes that are, or it reports things which are maybe not so interesting. And if you communicate with the tool in the comments, then it can store your comments and later refer to them in post-processing to maybe throw out certain comments and not pollute the history, basically. So some results. My favorite examples are basically on the right, and I like them because in these two cases, he detected changes that are logical errors. So basically, you don't have traditional tools that can detect these kind of things, or maybe only to some limited degree. And in these particular cases, these two code pieces even passed the code human review. So it was nice to detect them, even though they're not serious, but they're real errors. In one case, it was or in both cases, it's probably just a copy-paste error. Now, in our experience, these tools are good at identifying logical errors. So that's maybe the main advantage, I would say. Of course, they are also unbiased. You can run them at any time and so on. So that's definitely another advantage. But they can also learn from data that's available either through related code issues and so on, but also you can add information by yourself. For example, one thing you could add is maybe coding guidelines, and it will be able to follow them. Now, the disadvantages are it may produce some unnecessary output that you either, it's obvious that you should be doing that, like remember to clean your memory, or something that is already known by the project and is not just maybe just not mentioned in this particular pull request. If it can find that, it would be nice, but it doesn't always do that. Now, these models are limited in the context size, so you cannot put all the code to it and it will not automatically know everything. There are some workarounds around that, but by default, it's not easy to handle big projects. So of course, there are some potential for false positives, and it can flag issues that are not real issues. And additionally, since it's currently a commercial project, there is some, let's say, unnecessary output like share our tool and so on. So you can see that on the comment on the left. This is actually with minimum configuration, which you can configure it so that it spams even more as you do your work. But let's say even with the minimal configuration, there are some things that you cannot turn off. Now, like I mentioned, I tried to develop a similar tool by myself, and so the first reason is to be able to run it with local models, but the second reason is to get some experience how these tools work and run them with local models. And for this, I developed a tool called PeerBot, which is doing very similar things. It runs completely on your machine, or you can also deploy it on a larger cluster if necessary. And also, I implemented some features to try and improve the quality of the feedback. But before that, will be on the next slide. Before that, how do you use this tool? So you can either run it as a GitHub application. It will run in server mode. And then you have to register in GitHub this application. And it will listen for incoming pull requests. And whenever request arrives, it will answer with the feedback directly to the GitHub. It's slightly less advanced than CodeRabbit because it doesn't currently it doesn't do line by line changes, but just makes one comment to the entire pull request. Additionally, it can analyze a local file. So you can say with the local tool, just to say, here's a diff, please analyze these changes. Or you can include also changes plus annotated commit messages. So to include more information about them, to give the model more context to be able to analyze them. Now on the backend, I use Ollama, which you have just heard about before. And Ollama is a backend. So the primary function is to load models and serve them. You can also chat with it directly, but that's kind of a secondary feature, I would say. And it specializes in being able to run these models not only on GPU, which is the kind of a default, let's say, but also to run them on CPU or even a mixed mode where part of the model is loaded into GPU memory and part of the model is loaded into the CPU memory. So if you have limited resources, it's still able to run them, or to some degree. It supports many model architectures, DeepSeek, Llama, and many others. And also it is able to deal with quantized models. So quantized models are models that have reduced precision. They may be a little bit lower quality, but for that you have much lower memory use. It also gives some metrics, but it also has some disadvantages. So currently, after some experience, we found that it's not easy to see if there are more requests queued. So it's not easy to see how many are in the queue already. So you're maybe waiting for a long time before you get any feedback. And some additional information would be nice. Like, for example, a common problem with the Llama is that default context size is quite small. And if you are out of it, then basically the old text is being thrown out. And it's not easy to, in advance, know how big your input is. So there's no feature for this currently. Maybe it will be in the future, but right now it's missing. And it primarily focuses on running them on a single machine that's with limited resources. So you have a good server, or maybe many servers with big GPUs, then you need some other tool. And one example is VLLM, which we have been also looking at, but not yet deployed. As I mentioned just now, it can, by default, it has a quite low context size limitation of 2048 tokens. You can, of course, increase this, although this is a little bit inconvenient to do. And then you will get larger context. However, you will also have more resource consumption. On the left, you can see a test on one GPU node. And there are multiple models. And on the x-axis, you see how the context size is increased. And on the y-axis, you can see either the speed, generation speed, or how much memory is used by the model. Or finally, in the final graph, you see whether or not GPU is used. So in the red boxes, it means that he didn't have enough memory on the GPU and he started sharing it with CPU. And that's exactly when you see the decrease in performance. It's quite a significant one. Even if he's only on GPU, there can be decrease in performance when context size is increased, but it's especially after the VRAM memory runs out that you see a big decrease. So there are three things how I try to improve the output of the model, which are already quite old and quite known in the community. And one of them is to let multiple LLMs review the changes. So they each kind of generate their independent thoughts. It can be even the same model, but just by randomness, it may find something or focus on something that previous runs did not focus on. And then another step is taking old feedback and kind of reviewing it. And that allows the model also to find its own mistakes, or maybe improve something, find something that was missing, and so on. And finally, just some prompt improvements, kind of a chain of thought approach, where you say, do these things step by step, for example. And just by doing that, he has kind of more token budget, and often is able to get better results. Now, the good news is actually, since DeepSeek was released fairly recently, this kind of makes those advancements unnecessary, because DeepSeek is trained to do most of this kind of by default. So before it gives the final response, it kind of explores different options and gives you a final response based on what he has explored. So he has the review included and not multi-model, but multiple approaches are mixed together. So that's a good, because actually generating with many models and including all of the changes in one prompt, so to say, can be very expensive for the context size limits. And DeepSeek relaxes that a little bit. So this tool is not as advanced as CodeRabbit. So we have quite a big list of things that can be improved, although this is still kind of a toy project. In production, we are using CodeRabbit, but still there's a list of things that can be improved. First of all, there's inline comments. And Second, maybe the most important, is how to handle multiple commits. So this is the largest work, I would say, because even if the context size is very big, you can still have a huge pull request, and you need to somehow chunk it, maybe by file or by date or by commit. There are many approaches to this, and it's not trivial to decide how to deal with that. Additionally, you can add also information to that, like CodeRabbit, for example, does. You can include related issues, code history, and experience from past interactions. Specifically, one of the post-processing tasks could be, please don't answer anything if there is nothing important, because LLMs are by design designed to give some type of output. But if the review, if your pull request is good and there's no things to fix, it would be best not to answer anything, but to just make a check mark or something like that. Because he may even try to suggest things which are unnecessary if he has nothing to say, and that we want to try to avoid. There's an interesting blog post by another tool, which is also an AI review tool called Greptile, and they kind of explore how to make LLMs shut up. Basically, they tried prompting it, and that didn't quite work. And then they have also a review process by a final model, and that didn't quite work well too. But the final idea which worked was clustering bad replies into a database. So whenever there's a reply that's actually is considered bad, you can rate it, and that will be stored in the vector database. And with the future requests, if there's a reply that is very similar to the one that is stored, it will be simply rejected. Finally, we need to find a balance between the number of the context size and also the max tokens. So that's kind of instructing the models, giving it some target on how many tokens to generate. Usually this is fine with just the default value, but it can be nice to increase that or decrease that sometimes. And another thing which also CodeRabbit does and other tools do is to mix expensive models that are expensive to use or resource hungry with the weaker models. For example, if you want to just generate a commit message or a summary of the changes, it's completely fine to use a dumber LLM. But for finding bugs, you actually want to use the biggest possible. Currently, this has been running, Peerbot has been running mostly on my local machine, but we're also developing an approach to run them on our local cluster, and that will allow to test it with larger models. So to mention some related project, Greptile is another closed source reviewer, and as well there is also Panto, it's called Panto. And on the open source side, one fairly recent project since April this year called Codus. So I'm kind of keeping track how it's developing. Potentially we can use that to replace something commercial. Conclusion, I would say LLMs are improving very fast, and the reviews are already helpful. They were already helpful like 1.5 years ago, but with some downsides. But these downsides, because of the improvements, are quickly going away, and because of all the workarounds that you can add to them. So from our perspective, it's really beneficial to use them. And because the models are improving fast, the benchmarks don't really matter so much. And what matters is that you learn how to use the tools and use them, and you just collect collect experience. The open weights LLMs are also viable, although the challenge with them is that you have limitation in the context, and you have to do sometimes additional work if the model is not large enough, which can be quite resource hungry. If you run them locally, you need to find some balance, and especially if you have constrained resources. So either you have to choose quantized models that have less precision, or pick smaller models with fewer parameters, or also definitely play with the context size depending on how large your changes are, or you have to chunk the changes. That's my final slide. Thank you very much. Questions?
Thanks, great.
Thanks.
Yeah, any questions? I had, yeah, I can go ahead. I had one
Can you
question
still hear
on
me?
the. Yes.
Hello?
Oh, can you not hear us? Did you lose us?
Sorry.
Did you lose us?
Yes, now I can hear it.
Oh, okay. I guess because you were talking about how much context you making it more or less context aware. So does that mean that CodeRabbit, for example, when it reviews the code, it doesn't have full access to your entire project?
Exactly.
It's
So you need
mainly
some
just.
workarounds for that.
Okay.
Either you include files that are relevant, and for that there are different ways of doing that. But to include all the code, that's mostly impossible. Yeah, of course, Google claims they have a LLM that is has unlimited context size. But the problem with large context sizes, it's also easy to get models off track. So it's let's say if he may notice something unrelated and just focus on that, and if once he starts doing that, the best thing to do is just restart from scratch, because he will get distracted by things quite easily. So that's one of the issues that I think are still not solved in any model today. So you could say would be nice to have larger context size with huge where I can put all of my code, but actually that doesn't seem to work as well. So you really want to give him only the information that is relevant for particular task. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And does it remember past pull requests?
CodeRabbit does remember them. However, I mean, it has a database with the past interactions, past pull requests, and then if you have a new one, he will do a similarity search. So he will say, okay, was there something in the past that kind of has a similar meaning, and he may include parts of that in the current prompt. And that way he can see, but he cannot see just everything by default. Like I said, that would be a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Some more questions, but I'll let Pratik go ahead.
I had two questions. One about the reflecting process. You said that you are running three models in multiple models in parallel and then reflecting them, and then again it's giving a final prompt. Like,
Yeah.
is that another model? Like, what's the specification for that? Is
Sorry, I
it
didn't catch it.
again an Olama model? Is it again an Olama model that you're using for that? For the reflecting model?
Yes. Olama is a backend, so you can include any model in Olama, right? So it's not just there's Llama model, and then there's Olama, which is the tool to run all kinds of models, just in case there's no mix-up, to make sure. But definitely you can run different models for these parallel queries. It can still be beneficial to run the same, because just through like temperature parameter, it will have some randomness, and through random chance, he may find something else. But you can definitely run multiple, and then
So
yeah.
the query models are all different, right?
They can be. They don't have to be, but they can be.
Okay. So, and
But
also, like, if you like, I was having a doubt that if you introduce something like an LSTM, like, which is known for sequencing, wouldn't that kind of help the model remember more of its history, or just allocating one model to one query model to keep check of the history of the whole thing, so that that task is out of your work,
I'm
I
not
guess.
sure I understand the question. It was not easy
Uh,
to listen to hear everything.
Okay. Like introducing another model just to keep
Yeah.
track of all the queries that have happened in the past, or like just
Ah,
for the history.
no, this
Then-
it's not all queries that have happened in the past, but rather it's the same pull request, same changes, and it's given in parallel to multiple models. So they each of them suggests some kind of maybe find something. So it suggests changes or finds issues, and then those three or however many you can actually however many you pick, their feedback will be given to the final model. But one noted this, as I said in the talk, on which slide? This slide? Where's the slide? This one. Actually, I think meanwhile you don't really need this. So we made this multi-model approach was done like 1 year ago around, and there was no DeepSeek back then. So the models couldn't think, I would say, back then, and now they are able to do that. So it's much less. I would say it's much less necessary to do this multi LLM approach. Yeah, but you're right. Even with the queries for the same thing, you're kind of pushing towards the limits of the context size, depending on the size of the changes.
Yeah, so like that was like my doubt that you're feeding the same query to different models. How about you change the query a little for some models so that some models take into account the history more, some model take into account something else more,
Yeah,
and
that's a
like the
good idea.
response to that.
In Peerbot, at least, you can modify the prompts. I'm not sure if you can do that per model, but that would be actually an interesting idea. I mean, what you can do for sure is to say maybe one model is code specialized and another model is general and another maybe something physics related. And so that way you get different feedback. But doing different prompts for each is actually a good idea. Maybe it's even supported. I'm not sure anymore, but it would be very easy to add that actually.
Okay, thank you so
Thanks. Since you've been using CodeRabbit and all your software projects for 1.5 years, can you say has that sped up the Git review, so to speak?
Recently, there have been fewer issues found. I guess we improved a lot. I don't know, but no, it's not often that it finds a good problem. Yeah, mostly it's some feedback, maybe to less experienced developers can be beneficial, but like finding a really important issue that didn't happen a lot. Yeah. But my personal experience is that even if it happens like once per month, that's already good enough to just have it running. The disadvantage is that you are getting distracted by all the unnecessary comments. And that already improved a lot, I have to say, in the last year. So it used to be much more. Probably it's not only the stored feedback that they have, but also just they realize the problem is there and they did something on the prompting side or whatever side to say, actually, those are not important. So the signal to noise ratio keeps improving. And even though signal may be not often that you find something problematic, but still it can be, it's better than having nothing, especially because even though this tool is not open source anymore, it's free for open source projects. So you get basically feedback for free. And if you have not so many developers, that's even better benefit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Any questions? Okay. Oh, I see no more questions online. Last chance, though. Okay, then I guess we can stop here and thank the speakers.